Eye on Gauteng, brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Economic Development.
Africa, the once dark continent, is now poised to be a major game changer. The IMF has described the continent as the globe's next economic frontier. But where is South Africa's place in all of this? That's where our story begins. Hi, Victor.
Hey, Lionel.
How you doing?
All right, thanks.
Victor Swana is Ernst & Young's Africa Business Development Guru. His job requires him to travel extensively on the continent to look for business opportunities. He is a man of valuable business intelligence. I had a few questions of my own.
The big question now is being big enough anymore?
Okay. No, it can certainly be.
Why?
mean, my belief is if you are big, it's okay. I mean, size matters in economics because then you have the benefits that come with being big. But the real benefit comes with being big and growing at a reasonable rate to keep up. Because remember, if you are big as an economy, you attract more people. And as you attract more people, you put more strain on your social services. Your hospitals start overflowing, your care, your amenities, your roads take a strain. So you need more and more growth to be able to keep up with that. So it's okay to be big. Everybody wants to be big, to be first. But the more important thing is to grow much larger.
Make no mistake, the race is well and truly on to be Africa's biggest and best economy. Newly appointed Gauteng MEC for Economic Development, Gauteng Mahlangu, held court at the Gauteng Investor Conference. The conference brought together the brightest minds in government, state-owned enterprises and the private sector.
This was really informed by my experience having arrived in DED, Department of Economic Development, and I realized that the things are not really, there's a very disjunction between government and the private sector. That's how the idea was born, to try and really bridge a gap that exists between government and the private sector, with a view to, of course, to strengthen our relationship, but most importantly, to strengthen those relationships to benefit and understand what businesses are going through, how government regulation is affecting them, whether it be SMMEs or big business or whoever is operating, including overseas companies.
South Africa has been on the pedestal for the last 100 years, and Victor has painted a rather bleak outlook.
Growth is important, maybe more important than size, because in the end, the large were once small. China wasn't always in the position it is at the moment, in terms of being in the top 3 of the world economies. It was very small at one stage, but it grew at a much faster pace. It overtook Germany, and it's going to eventually overtake the US because it offers growth. So South Africa, although it's still the largest economy at the moment, because of the low growth of 2.8, when you produced a scorecard based on a combination of growth and size, suddenly the largest is no longer the most attractive place.
Gauteng's provincial government is well aware of the threat to its position.
The position is threat, and I agree. However, as you see, I've got plenty of energy. So the role of the Gauteng economy, you cannot overemphasize it. It's historically, of course, the historical factor, but now we are actively getting involved as a provincial government to get this economy going and to retain our position.
Part of the idea was to provide access to key national government ministers. Ibrahim Patel, who looks after South Africa's economic development portfolio, used the opportunity to explain government's new job-centered growth path.
The new growth path framework places the focus on rebuilding strong, dynamic, productive sectors of the economy. We set a goal to create 5 million new jobs by 2020. We identified sectors where jobs can be created on scale, in infrastructure, in the main economic sectors of mining and mineral beneficiation, of agriculture and agro-processing, of manufacturing, of tourism and high-level services.
The investor conference was all about creating opportunities and easing bottlenecks for new players. The South African government has ploughed its money into some key investments itself.
The key is to invest. To invest strongly in infrastructure, in people, in innovation, and in enterprises. Both public investment as well as private investment is critical for us to meet our developmental objectives. Investment, as you know, is one of the key drivers of growth and job creation. As a general rule of thumb, fast-growing economies have to invest at least 25% of GDP over a sustained period. Not only is the rate of investment critical, but also the quality of investment. In other words, the job-generating impact of each billion rand that we plow into the economy.
South Africa, like the rest of the continent, is mineral rich. In fact, South African mineral reserves are worth some $2.5 trillion US, according to Citigroup economists, the most in the world. The demand for her raw materials has fueled growth projections. But Africa's people are usually the last to benefit from the reaches beneath her surface. Mining Minister Susan Shabangu has placed a sharp focus on beneficiation.
The ideal situation would be a situation where, as we deal with extraction, but also when we deal with your downstream, it will be able to respond to the kind of industries which we intend to establish now. Your issue of catalytic converters, it's part of those industries. We're growing that area. We cannot wait for a situation where we reach a point where there's a need and a necessity. We've got to define that space. At this stage, we have not gone on a route to say how much we want or have a quota. It's some of the issues which we're working on. From the legislative process, what we are going to do for every license we'll be issuing will be putting a condition which says when a need arises, then those companies must be keen to provide local industries for beneficiation. So for now, because it's a new area, we've been beneficiating in other areas, but you are correct, it's not enough. We cannot continue with providing other countries when our own people with the same minerals cannot improve their own quality of life.
So you said when you speak to the mining industry and say, look, make something available for beneficiation, are you going to actually make policy in order to make sure that the mines actually do that?
Well, we'd like to, ideally we would like to see a situation where you don't have to regulate or come up with policy all the time. So it depends on the response of the industry. But if industry stifles South African growth, indeed government will have to put measures to deal with it.
The beneficiation of South Africa's minerals will come under the spotlight in a new plan to promote a gold, diamond and platinum industrial development zone.
We've gone to the market overseas to test whether people are willing to come and invest in South Africa. All the questions they're asking, what is the tax environment, at what price are we going to buy gold, because we're going to buying it at source. There's no transportation and all of those things. So that's all the things that needs to be clarified. But that project should be starting. Once we've sorted out investors, they'll tell us when you build, this is how the specifications you're going to be building, this is how I need my space to be, and this is the space I'm going to take up from you. And that's all is left with. And the plans for now is to say on the 1st of April 2012, we should be in a position to have a foundation laid on the ground.
A vibrant downstream industry would be just what the doctor ordered to alleviate the country's unemployment woes. Some 40% of economically active people in South Africa still cannot find employment.
We've got to make sure that we create jobs, because we're creating new industries which will make sure that people are able to work. As you know, that one of the biggest challenges we have as a country, we have about 24% of unemployment, and out of that we have about 74% of young people. And it's just unacceptable. It's a time bomb. We've got to make sure that we respond to that very, very fast as a country, because we really want to see stability. So stability will make sure if we move into beneficiation, we'll create new jobs, we'll unleash new taxes, but also there'll be more social spending and people can afford and be able to sustain themselves.
Being a finite resource, we need to position the province beyond relying on the raw materials. And in doing so, the province came up with a strategy in terms of saying the economy grew out of gold through other services that came in because of the mining sector. The banking services that were here, the city that has grown in there in terms of production and manufacturing equipments that had to supply the mining industry. we need to look forward, that we are living in a place which is now highly populated. We are living in a place that has drawn in different skills, that will require different railway network systems, that will require telecommunications that is faster, that also will require the movement of goods and services in an efficient way. And that resulted in a strategic infrastructure program that today we have the Gauteng as part of it. We also have the improvement of the highway roads, Gauteng Highway Improvement Scheme. We also have plans that came up with the development of other nodes of the province, such that we don't have an urban sprawl in terms of the nature of the province.